Today, I'll be revealing 3 common regrets I keep hearing from wealthy clients at the age of 63. Over my years advising high net worth clients, I've noticed these same 3 regrets surface repeatedly, even from those with millions in their retirement accounts. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Julia, and I'm a certified financial planner and the managing director of URS Advisory. And I'm making this video to share what my wealthiest clients wish they had done differently before reaching 63. And I say 63 because they're so close to retirement and don't have the years to correct these regrets. So let's get into it. The first regret I see is delaying retirement despite having more than enough saved. I talk to retiree hopefuls every day, many that are following generic rules of thumb like the 4% rule, the 25x income rule, the 10 times salary rule, etc. And because of those, have decided to keep working even though they're really unhappy. The reality is that these rules of thumb are far too conservative for most retirees and force those without proper guidance to work longer than they have to. Let's take the 10x salary rule, for instance, which basically states that you should have 10 times your salary saved by age 67 in order to retire successfully. Let's look at how this applies using an example. Meet Jim, age 60. He wants to retire next year at 62 because his job has changed dramatically and he just doesn't enjoy working anymore. But he doesn't feel confident that they'll have enough money, so he assumes he'll be ready at 67 based on the 10x rule. He currently spends $70,000 a year, but wants to slightly increase that to $75,000 upon retirement. We all know that retirement spending and just spending in general is not linear, and we don't spend the exact same amount of money every year. And in retirement, we typically spend the most at first before our expenses slowly decrease over time. At age 80, his expenses will decrease to $50,000 in today's dollars. These expenses will inflate at 3% per year for inflation. His salary is $200,000, and below here we can see his full retirement age Social Security benefit of $48,300 per year. His investable assets are as follows. He has roughly $380,000 in a brokerage account, $900,000 in an IRA, and about $130,000 in a Roth IRA. Now, according to this 10x rule, to retire at 67, he'll need to have $2 million saved. Jim has no debt and no legacy goals. And again, he wants to spend $75,000 per year once he retires. Unfortunately, he only has just over 1.4 saved. So even with this large net worth, he's still behind in his mind according to this rule of thumb. He believes he needs to save more and keep working to age 67 to get 10x his salary to retire safely. Well, fortunately, Jim hired me in part to figure out when he can retire. So let's run the numbers. First, we need to stress test his portfolio to see what he'd lose in a market crash and how that would affect him if it happened next year. Here we can see his allocation breakdown, average return, and we can also see what he would lose if we had another great recession, which is 46% or roughly $650,000 of his $1.4 million. We're going to run through a Monte Carlo analysis, which is currently the best way to analyze the success of a financial plan. Simply put, the computer runs your spending, income, and investments through 1,000 different investment return and inflation scenarios to see how many are successful, i.e., you are able to fund your spending needs through your life expectancy, which is, not running out of money. In our practice, we look for an 80% chance of success. So if we have a market crash next year and he works to age 67, he has a 99% chance of success, meaning that 990 of the 1,000 different investment returns and inflation scenarios were successful. In present value, Jim will leave anywhere between 1.1 and 3.7 million. But wait a second, Jim doesn't have a legacy goal and certainly doesn't want to leave or work to age 67 just to leave this high of a legacy. Also, you'll recall that we look for an 80% chance of success in our practice, especially because we're assuming a big crash on top of the Monte Carlo analysis. No one needs to score 100%, right? We make important decisions based on much lower probabilities every day, and the only 2 guarantees in life are death and taxes. So, if we're okay with an 80% chance of success, Jim can actually retire successfully as early as age 62, which was his original goal. But what if he needs long-term care for the average length of time, 3 years, between the ages of 85 and 88 before passing away? If this occurs, he needs to work to age 64 to make sure that he has an 80% chance of financial success. But this is still not age 67. Had he continued to follow this generic rule of thumb, he would not only feel behind, but he would work an extra 3 to 5 years for no reason. Who knows the kind of mental strain this would have caused him for absolutely no benefit? And it's not just the rules of thumb responsible for this either. It's the mindset of successful professionals in general. They work so hard and save dutifully every year, sometimes much more than they need to save, in order to retire well in the future. And while this is an excellent trait to have because no one's retiring anytime without ample savings, it doesn't allow space to consider how to optimize what you already have. There's also the belief that working longer is always safer than retiring early, which is clearly not the case, as we've just proved. The solution to avoiding this regret is to have your own comprehensive retirement plan because everyone's situation is different, and rules of thumb and common beliefs may or may not apply to your situation. The second biggest regret I see is the failure to consider taxes in a retirement plan. If you've watched my videos, you know that a primary focus of our firm is tax planning, and what a huge difference it can make not only in tax savings, but in increasing the amount that you can spend each year in retirement. Unfortunately, even retirees with financial advisors disregard this critical aspect of planning, often because their advisor doesn't specialize in this discipline. Most advisors simply focus on investments and saving, not realizing that tax planning can make the biggest difference in the success and longevity of a retirement plan. A common misconception is that your tax bracket will be lower in retirement. However, for folks that have large pre-tax balances and are used to a certain lifestyle, this may only be the case for the first year or so of retirement. This false assumption and overall neglect lead to missed tax opportunities that cannot be recovered due to time passed. Meet Paul and Lynn Price, both 66 years old and retired. They have nearly $3.4 million saved between stock, a trust account, an inherited IRA, and 2 large traditional IRAs. So overall, about $2 million in pre-tax monies and about $1.3 million in after-tax funds. You'll notice that they have no Roth IRAs. They have $100,000 in the bank and a paid-off home. We've determined that the best time for Paul to file for Social Security is age 70 for $46.06 per month, and Lynn has already claimed her benefit at age 65 for $27.50 per month. Neither of them have pensions, so Social Security is their only source of guaranteed income. They want to spend $10,000 per month or $120,000 per year indexed for inflation. They also want to gift their kids, Michael and Stacy, up to the gift tax exclusion each year for the next 7 years. Through our analysis, we determined that the most tax-efficient way to do this is to get Paul's company stock so that he avoids that capital gains tax while divesting himself of the concentrated position. So we're able to accomplish 2 goals with 1 strategy. Now let's look at some distribution strategies. We can see here that if Paul and Lynn went this route, their average lifetime tax rate would be 16.57%, and their total taxes paid would be $1.3 million. Their total net income would be $4.1 million. We can see that this strategy works better than taking pre-tax first, right? Pre-tax, then taxable, then tax-free, seen here, where the average tax rate is 17.07%, the total taxes are $1.352 million, and the net income is $4.154 million. But now, let's scroll down to some Roth conversion strategies to see if we can improve their tax situation. The software chooses the Roth conversions to fill to the 24% bracket over the next 5 years, and we can see that their average lifetime tax rate drops dramatically from 16.6% to 11.8%, and their total lifetime tax drops by over $457,000 to $878,429. They could convert even less, say to the 12% bracket over the next 5 years, and still save over $140,000 in lifetime taxes and increase their total net income. Interestingly enough, converting the maximum amount, which just means all of it in 1 year or as quickly as possible, is not as favorable as spreading the conversions out over 5 years to the 24% tax bracket. Think about what Paul and Lynn could have accomplished during their working career to avoid having to make these conversions now to save a lot of tax over their lifetime. Now, after seeing these regrets from wealthy retirees, you might be wondering how to avoid making these same mistakes in your own retirement. What I've learned from working with successful professionals is that most people don't struggle with building wealth. They've done that part well. What they struggle with is knowing how to turn that wealth into a retirement strategy that prevents these common regrets. There are so many decisions to make: when to retire, how to structure withdrawals, how to handle family requests, when to take Social Security. The list goes on, that even successful professionals feel overwhelmed trying to put it all together. That's exactly why I created a free video walking you through my proven retirement planning process. This is the same process that's helped hundreds of successful professionals avoid these common regrets and turn their hard-earned savings into a confident retirement strategy. It breaks down exactly how to approach each piece of the retirement puzzle, showing you how to make these crucial decisions with confidence. If you'd like to see how this process could help you avoid these retirement regrets, just click the link below to watch the free video. You'll discover how to transform your retirement savings into a clear, actionable plan that helps you retire without regret. Now, let's get back to the video. So, how do even the most successful retirees realize this mistake too late? Well, because most advisors don't specialize in tax planning, so it's an area that most have received no guidance on whatsoever. And we don't know what we don't know. This is another reason to either figure distribution planning out on your own or hire someone that can do it for you. If you don't, you'll miss out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of your hard-earned savings. Okay, the third regret is failing to have a healthcare strategy pre and post Medicare. I've been building retirement plans for 12 years, and by far the largest expense a retiree can and will incur is the cost of healthcare. Let's review the list. Under 65 health premiums, deductibles and copayments, Medicare premiums, out-of-pocket expenses, critical services not covered by Medicare like dental, vision, and long-term care. In fact, a healthy 65-year-old couple who retired in 2023 will likely use nearly 70% of their lifetime Social Security benefits to cover medical costs in retirement. The cost of under 65 health insurance is the biggest gripe of early retirees, and for good reason. The premiums between the ages of 55 and 65 are the highest, no matter which options you choose. There's COBRA, where you can continue your previous employer's health insurance for either 18 months or 24 months, depending on the circumstances. And while the coverage may be good, having to pay the full premium for your plan is very pricey. You could also opt to purchase a private plan from an agent or directly through our health insurance marketplace or healthcare.gov. These plans can also get quite expensive depending on the level of coverage you want, anywhere from $250 a month to $2,000 a month in premium. However, if your income is low enough, you may qualify for a subsidy. Even joining a working spouse's plan isn't necessarily cheap. And while there's nothing anyone can do about this conundrum, there are some steps you can take to minimize your taxes during this time and to make sure that your retirement plan will still be intact. And that's the issue right there. The misconception that there's nothing you can do to alleviate the high cost of healthcare before or after retirement. Unfortunately, this only leads to more missed opportunities to save for future healthcare costs tax efficiently. For instance, before 65, you can opt for a registered high-deductible health plan and contribute as much as possible up to the annual limit in a health savings account. Remember, a health savings account is the only triple tax-exempt account that exists. And this means that you get to deduct your contribution, your money is invested and grows tax-deferred, just like a traditional retirement account, and then you get to pull out the money for qualified health expenses tax-free. So this is how you save on taxes right now and in the future. You can also make sure that your advisor is accounting for all of your retirement expenses and including under 65 premiums and deductibles in your cash flow. There's nothing worse, at least to me, than spending time and effort on an analysis that doesn't have accurate inputs. Okay, but what do you do when you join Medicare? While Medicare is certainly the best health insurance available in the United States, it only covers about 2/3 of your medical costs, and the premiums can be quite expensive. Your first Medicare cost is your Medicare Part B premium, which is entirely based on your modified adjusted gross income from 2 years ago. So if you're joining Medicare this year, they're going to look at your modified adjusted gross income from 2023 and charge you accordingly. So if you file jointly and your 2023 modified adjusted gross income was $267,000, you will pay $370 per month for Part B, as opposed to the base premium of $185 per month, not to mention the Part D drug plan penalty. This being said, you may be able to qualify for an appeal depending on your circumstances. I review this process in full detail in this video here, so if you fall into this category, make sure to check that out after this video. But the point is that there are many more non-appealable forms of adjusted gross income that can push you over those thresholds and cause you to pay, double or potentially 5 times the base premium for Medicare Parts B and D. And this can add up to thousands and thousands of dollars each and every year of your retirement. Unfortunately, these Part B and D premiums do not cover everything. There are still hospital and doctor deductibles, as well as copayments depending on your Medicare plan of choice. At URS, we help our clients through the process of joining Medicare and choosing a plan that works best for their needs and budget. And this makes an enormous difference in our clients' ability to combat the rising costs of healthcare. What's fascinating is what I've learned from working with high net worth clients hitting their early 60s. So, in my years of retirement planning, I've noticed that these financial regrets often have little to do with the size of your portfolio. Meeting with successful retirees every week, I keep seeing these same patterns. The ones with the most wealth aren't automatically the ones with the least regrets. Between missed opportunities, delayed dreams, wealth preservation fears, I found that even wealthy retirees need a strategic plan to avoid these regrets. And these 3 examples today prove it. The right retirement strategy isn't just about building wealth, it's about knowing how to use it. And that's exactly why I created a free video walking you through my proven retirement planning process that I use with all of our clients to help them plan a successful retirement. Just click the link below to watch it, and I'll see you next time.